I'm not going to lie to anybody. Like, that one really defeated me.
You are Locked On Blue Jays, your daily Toronto Blue Jays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jays. Thank you for making Locked On Blue Jays your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Football season is around the corner. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your future bets now. As always, I'm Brittany Wasco. He's Carter First. You can find us on Twitter, Brayden5E Wasco. Carter First, too, as well on our main one, at Locked On Jays. You can also follow us on Instagram and TikTok, at Locked On Blue Jays. And if you're new here to YouTube, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. We really appreciate it. It's free. It's not like it takes up any space or anything. Might as well. You get your shorts, your podcasts, your live streams, the videos, the whole ordeal. So hit that subscribe button. Where to start? The bullpen is just one of the worst things I've ever seen. That sucked. This loss defeated me. Brendan Little is getting to the point where I might send him to Mars in my head because that guy is just nowhere to be found. Bichette is an absolute dog. Daulton Varsho's sick. I don't know, Carter. Where do you want to start? I'm just defeated. I really am.
Yeah, where's the panic meter at now regarding the bullpen? You didn't give me a number yesterday. I don't know if you want to give me one today, but it seems like with every game since August, the bullpen is getting worse and worse and worse. And I was trying to look if it was arm fatigue. I was looking at some mechanical things with some guys, different just arm slots with how the spin rates are looking. And it's just not good. A lot of things regarding the Toronto Blue Jays bullpen is not good. When we look at Brendan Little specifically, it could be an arm fatigue thing. This is the most innings that he has thrown in his major league career. But you look at guys like Santander Dominguez, who hasn't really been that bad, but when you look at it in totality, he hasn't necessarily been lights out. Tommy Nance had his first blow up in a long time today. It's tough to close the ball game out. Jeff Hoffman's been very inconsistent. Like you look at a lot of these guys, Lou Varland has been very inconsistent since going to the Toronto Blue Jays. You have Eric Lauer, you had Easton Lucas, who you could have went to, but overall, it's just when you look at this Toronto Blue Jays team and how it's currently constructed, whoever you're really rolling out now out of that bullpen, like you're sitting on the edge of your seat, you're crossing your fingers, you are hoping that they don't give up a million runs. Like you're almost okay now if they give up one run in a game where your offense is performing, but your offense can't put up 8 runs every single ball game. They showed this on the broadcast. In games that they score 4 or less runs, the Toronto Blue Jays are 20 and 55. That's 4 runs is not going to get it done with the way these, the veteran pitchers are on this team. They're going to give you a chance to win, but they're not going to be lights out per se. When you look at Chris Bassitt, who was really good in today's ball game, that gives you a chance to win over 6+ innings, 2 earned runs. But the bullpen right now, every single time, no matter who it is goes out, it is scary to watch this Toronto Blue Jays team. And with one of the most, if not the most important series of the season coming up against the New York Yankees over the weekend, it is not a good spot to be when you're now only 2.5 games up, I believe it is, in the AL East.
Well, and realistically, as okay as, we talked about playing this Reds team and, what does it matter? Is it more important to get the Yankees? Of course it is. But also losing series back to back, if that ends up being the case, is not a good thing for a team that's trying to be first in the division. This is not good. And the way this game played out, Bichette single-handedly provides your team a chance to win this game, and the bullpen once again blows up. There are a lot more questions right now that I have surrounding this team than there are answers. I think when I look at this team and compare them to other teams in the league, it just comes back down to the fact that who can I rely on to perform? And as good as I think the offense has been, I can't rely on the offense to put up 8 runs a game. That's just not going to happen. And I think you could have. This is another game. I think it was obviously in your grasps to win. And instead of being the Toronto Blue Jays team that we have seen all season in these close games, being able to pull it out, we're now seeing in these close games this bullpen be so bad that you almost didn't have a shot. And when I saw Tommy Nance come out for the final inning, I was like, well, okay, you don't got really a whole lot of options today, and he's been great. Let him try. Let him go for it. Worst case, it's like, well, that game was blown because of Tommy Nance. And it's like, well, you can't really be that upset about at that guy because that's not a spot he should be pitching in. But then again, you bring in Brendan Little. And soon as they did that, I was like, this game's over. I looked at my mom. We were on the golf course. I had my phone up with watching the game. And I literally looked over at her and I'm like, this game's over. Brendan Little's blowing this game 100% of the time. And sure enough, he blows the game. It's just typical at this point. You can almost tell exactly what's going to happen at the end of ball games because this bullpen, I don't even want to say inconsistent. They have been very consistent. Consistently, well, I was going to say something. Consistently really bad.
Yeah, and it's tough for John Schneider. It's tough for just bullpen volatility when you look at how good some of these guys were at the start of the season. Brendan Little was he was that guy at some point in the season where you're like, even with Jeff Hoffman, when he was really good before you had Louis Varland, Dominguez, like even when Jimmy Garcia was here, like at times, Brendan Little was your guy that you were relying on and throwing in these high leverage situations. And it's crazy how a switch can just flip with a lot of these bullpen guys. So it puts John Schneider in a tough spot. You had this lefty that you've relied on this entire season, and then all of a sudden he's fallen off the face of the earth, and you don't even feel comfortable throwing him in the 6th inning, never mind in the 8th or the 9th inning in this case, closing out a baseball game. So like you look around the bullpen, and you look at Jeff Hoffman struggling. You look at Louis Varland, who struggled. You look at Dominguez, who's been kind of what you expected. But you can't throw Seranthony Dominguez every single time he goes out there. Brendan Little's been struggling. Yariel Rodriguez, who had a good outing at least today, or yesterday, the day that the game happened. But like Eric Lauer, like you can use him in long relief. But Easton Lucas, Braden Fisher when he comes up. Like there's a lot of guys that have a lot of questions within this bullpen, and we're going to need somebody to kind of come out of this situation and just have a couple guys that you can rely on. You can work through, a couple guys going through some spells in a bullpen, but when it's almost everybody, I'll still say other than Tommy Nance, it's tough to go in there and, like you said, a situation that he probably shouldn't be thrown into and close out a baseball game like that. But when it's almost everybody in your bullpen and you feel like you really have nowhere to turn to, games like this are going to happen. And when you're in a battle for an AL East title and you're 2.5 games up on both the New York Yankees and the Boston Red Sox, you can't be throwing away games like this consistently.
No, and that's the big component here is that if this is the way the team is going to play down the stretch, I don't love the confidence level going into the playoffs. Again, there's still a month of baseball left. Now, just under a month of baseball left. But you asked me at the beginning or at the end of last episode and now the beginning of this episode, what is my panic button situation? It's damn near right there. It's an 8 or a 9 at this point. I'm freaking out because this game, it was just exactly what I thought was going to happen in the bottom of the 9th. I literally did not know who they were going to throw. I figured Tommy Nance is probably coming out. And weirdly enough, I was more okay with that than Brendan Little. And if that doesn't tell you exactly where your panic level has to be with this bullpen, I don't know. You might be out to lunch because this is almost disaster territory here if this bullpen can't figure it out. This might be a very quick playoff trip for this Toronto Blue Jays team if this bullpen can't figure it out even in the slightest.
See, and for me, like having your bullpen being the thing that kind of ruins it for you is one of the more frustrating things, if not the most frustrating thing out of all facets in the game. Like you've seen the Yankees with their defense that can ruin some things, and it's tough to watch. The Mariners, when they came to town, their base running, there's a lot of times they were running on Aston Barger. We know not to do that if that guy's in the outfield. But like when your bullpen goes into a baseball game, especially in this game, where you kind of felt like you were behind the 8 ball the entire game, Chris Bassitt absolutely battling on the mound. He comes out for that 7th inning because there's a lot of bullpen uncertainty going on right now. He tries to battle. He throws 107 pitches, starts flipping the curveball in there, which not as much at the top of the zone, which I know you'll be in favor of, but use the cutter effectively as well. Like this is a guy that wants to win and is doing everything he possibly can to give this team a bye, to put this team in the best position to get a win. And then you go out there, Chris Bassitt kind of gives it his all, the offense battles. And then your bullpen in the 9th inning when Bichette hits such a clutch home run in the top of the 9th inning. Daulton Varsho adds to it. That gave me a little bit of hope. I was kind of nervous still after the Bichette home run, but then Daulton Varsho kind of gets the bat around a very circular swing. It kind of looks like he throws the bat out and then really just tries to pull it to the inside. And that's how he hits his pull side home runs. It allowed me to have a sense of hope, and then it didn't matter who you threw in. You could just feel that the Reds were going to come back in that game. So I'm just like interested in what your opinion is. Like, if for you, if the team is struggling, if maybe their starting pitching isn't very good, maybe it is their offense, maybe it's their bullpen, maybe it's horrible defense. What is it for you specifically that's like the most frustrating way that your baseball team can come up short and lose a game?
It has to be the bullpen. Don't get me wrong. It is frustrating when your offense can't perform. It really is. But when it's the bullpen, it feels like the most important pieces of your game are really rolling. The starting pitching, the hitting, everything's really rolling. Those are the two major components here. Then your bullpen is like, hey, somebody go in there and do a job. And nobody can do a job. That's super, super frustrating. So I'm with you. I think the bullpen might be, it would be the toughest way to go into a playoffs and lose, because you know that the rest of the pieces may have been there. And realistically, if you would have told me before this season that this was going to be our bullpen, I would have been thrilled. So to be at the point we are now, I'm blown away. I really don't even know what to say. I don't know what the fix is. I'm not in the room being, hearing from these guys and what they actually think is the problem here. But in my mind, we're getting to the point of a full bullpen meeting. Everybody get together, sit down, sit in a room, because nobody's doing their job. And maybe it's time for a little roundtable with the boys. I think it's past at the point where let the guys talk to each other. I think management needs to be in that room having a conversation. John Schneider, the pitching coaches, the pitching staff, everybody get them in a room, start talking, start figuring out a solution. Because Carter, me and you, we're not in those. We're not in meetings. We're not in the rooms. We're not chatting with these guys, outside of the media, whatever. So there could be stuff going on behind the scenes, maybe, that we don't know. Because there has to be something. Your entire bullpen doesn't fall apart like this just to fall apart. So if it is overtaxing, and if that's the case, these guys need to be making that clear. And then you have to then know, okay, do we have to go to Eric Lauer? Do we have to go to Chris Bassitt and put one of them in the bullpen just to eat a ton of innings? Or you do a double start almost, where you let one guy go and the other guy comes in and picks up, you go 4 and 5 or something like that. And you say, hey, eat for a couple of games. Give this bullpen a break. I don't know. I don't know the solution. I'm just spitballing here because I'm at the point where I don't know anymore.
I think that's the hardest part, is that like the solution is not clear. Like there's a bunch of things that kind of look like it's going on. It doesn't look like it's one specific thing that's kind of hindering this entire bullpen. You can look at it very specifically with all of your players and be like, this is Brendan Little's problem. And it's a lot of it is strike throwing. A lot of it is just his ability to locate the knuckle curve. And then when he is in the zone with the fastball, is it right over the middle of the plate? A lot of the time it has been. When you look at Louis Varland, it's a lot of the secondary issues. When it's Jeff Hoffman, it's kind of just, it seems like confidence a little bit. Again, trying to find the zone with the fastball, sometimes kind of hanging that splitter a little bit. The slider is not using it maybe as much as he should. So some of it's execution, some of it's pitch selection, some of it is just command. Like there's a bunch of different issues going on in this bullpen, and who do you turn to? Like, are we confident giving, these guys a break, turning to a guy like Easton Lucas to eat innings in a playoff race? Are we confident with Eric Lauer coming out of the bullpen? I think, like, obviously you're taking Lauer over Easton Lucas, but for a guy that hasn't pitched out of the bullpen, that has had a lot of rest recently, and like if you use Eric Lauer for 4 innings, he's not available for the next 3-4 games. So like that is a part-time fix, but that's not necessarily a long-term. You still have to deal with the 2, 3, 4 other games in between those Eric Lauer appearances. And yes, maybe your starters can kind of help you out. Kevin Gausman's looked very good. Shane Bieber has had the ability to eat innings. Max Scherzer looks like he's going to be okay. But in terms of the bullpen, you can't get around using some of these guys. And yes, you can limit some of their usage down the stretch. But once we get to these playoff scenarios, you're going to have to rely on Jeff Hoffman, Seranthony Dominguez, Louis Varland, Brendan Little. These are the guys that, like, at least for the first part of the season and now on the back half of the season with the additions in Varland and Seranthony Dominguez, these are the guys that you're going to be relying on down the stretch. And if they cannot be effective for you, you're not going to be able to go anywhere, because what are the other options that you're going to have to rely on in those stretches? These are the guys that you're paying and you brought in to be your back end guys, and they're going to have to perform. If this team wants any single chance, not even to just, win the American League, to win a playoff game, maybe even make the playoffs. Like, this team should be in the playoffs, but crazier things have happened. This bullpen continues to blow up. Maybe that is going to impact other facets of the game as well.
Yeah, you know what? We can continue talking about this. I think let's just drag it over here because there's a couple of specific things I want to talk about, but there's also some of the on the offensive side of the ball that I want to discuss as well, um, and a whole bunch more to come. I want to see how this team can rebound in game two. We want to know your guys' thoughts, feelings down below in the comment section about this bullpen. I mean, this has been the. Let's take a break. I'll come back with that before I absolutely smash my head against the wall. We'll be right back.
Today's episode is sponsored by PrizePicks, the daily fantasy app where making the right call can actually pay off. You and I make decisions every day, but on PrizePicks, being right means cashing in. With football back, PrizePicks is the simplest and fastest way to get into the action. Just pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player projections, and you can turn your takes into real prizes all in less than 60 seconds. We have another fantasy draft the day that we are recording this on the Monday. I got one Tuesday as well, so we're really starting to clean up and finish up our fantasy drafts for the rest of the year. So a lot of the players that I am drafting, at least in a lot of my fantasy leagues and the most recent ones, I'm going to be kind of parlaying and betting on week one as well. A lot more thans for my fantasy team. So not only I can brag to my friends, I can also make a little bit of money with my picks as well. You can download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONMLB for $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. It's good to be right.
Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. You guys know how much I love FanDuel. I talk about it all the time. It's getting to football season. And in football season, I love placing my bets. FanDuel's making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bet to use across the app. Talked about this yesterday. My brother got the $150 bonus bet thing. Now it's $300. That's double what it was a couple months ago. Get in on it now. Those bonus bets you can use when football season gets here in a few days. So make sure you guys do get in on all of that. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. So Carter, continuing on, talking a little bit about the bullpen, obviously. And I'm going to now re-ask you this question from, I don't know when it was, 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago. I'm not sure when we had this conversation. Who are the 3 guys you're most confident in right now that you would throw out there in a playoff situation? One game means everything. Who's your 7, 8, 9 right now, realistically?
Yeah, you got to assume that all these guys are rested. It's a lot more murky now than it was, maybe a week ago. But like I just said, is that you have a lot of these guys that you put in place to rely on in these big situations. If you're not getting, good performances from Brendan Little, Jeff Hoffman, Sir Anthony Dominguez, Louis Varland, Yariel Rodriguez, those 5 in particular, like I'm not comfortable throwing Eric Lauer in like the 8th inning. I'm not comfortable throwing Easton Lucas. Maybe Brayden Fisher if he shows me something down the stretch. Like, would you want Dylan Tate going out in the 9th inning? Like, I'm not comfortable with that whatsoever. So with the way things are currently right now, like unfortunately I just can't trust Brendan Little with how consistently bad that he has been over this stretch. So I gotta go with the right-handed pitchers. And I know Louis Varland has not been, very good recently, but he's my 7th inning guy. I think right now, who else? Maybe Yariel Rodriguez, I'd be okay if you wanted to throw him into there. Maybe it's Tommy Nance. That's another guy maybe I'm okay with, but I just like the name value and the stuff better with Louis Varland. Maybe not as much the name value, because at that point you can't really, doesn't matter if you're Vladdy or you're Ernie Clement, whoever's playing better is going to be in the lineup. But Louis Varland, like the one, if he doesn't have his best stuff, he's going to throw, like 98, 99, maybe even touch 100. I'm much more comfortable with that than Tommy Nance, trying to kind of spin his way through the order. So then for me, it's Sir Anthony Dominguez in the 8th. You might have some walk issues, but the stuff is there. This guy has been kind of what you expected. And for me, it still has to be Jeff Hoffman. I know a lot of people aren't going to like that, but what else? What is the turn? What's the, who else are you going to? Maybe you threw in Sir Anthony Dominguez in the 9th. Then who do you go to in the 8th? Who do you go to in the 7th? So I think right now, the way you have to account for it is that you got to assume that these guys are going to turn around. You have to hope that these guys are going to turn it around, because if they don't, it's just not going to go well when you're playing very good lineups in the playoffs.
No, and that's just where we're at. For me, it's Yariel Rodriguez, it's Sir Anthony Dominguez, and it's Jeff Hoffman. And I mean, Louis Varland, Yariel Rodriguez, take your pick of the litter a little bit. And it has to be Jeff Hoffman, and that's the problem, is that we're at the point of the season where pretty much decisions have been made. These are your guys. You got to ride with them, and hopefully they show up at the big moments. I want to know your thoughts on this. Bichette just wills your team back to a lead in the top of the ninth inning, and you see your bullpen go out and blow that game. I would be absolutely just defeated. Like I'd be throwing some helmets at this point already in the dugout. And I know these are MLB players; they want to be team guys. But at what point do you think this lineup starts to even get a little bit defeated because of this bullpen? It's going to happen if this keeps going. Are we at that point yet? Do you think? Are guys in the locker room going to have these conversations? I know, obviously we're not there; we can't speak to it, but I'm talking about, from a you perspective, at what point do you start to get a little bit frustrated here?
I mean, they have to notice it, obviously. They have to know that these guys, giving up a lot more runs than they were at the start of the season. And maybe in the back of their head, there is a little bit of this feeling like, hey, we have to add on to this game. We have to get runs on their bullpen, which isn't a bad mentality to have. That's always the mentality that a baseball team should have. Should never be complacent, being up 3-2 in a baseball game. I'd be a lot more comfortable being up 8-2 in that baseball game. So a lot of these players should have that mentality, but it definitely does creep into the back of their heads, especially if it's like a guy that's consistently been struggling. Like if they see Brayden Little go out there, like especially in this scenario where he goes out in the ninth, and they've seen that he has been struggling to command the baseball, throwing the fastball over the middle a lot more than he used to be. That definitely goes in the back of their head. But at the end of the day, they can't change that. They can't change what Brayden Little is going to go and do out there. They can't change what Jeff Hoffman's going to go out and do out there. They can only control what they're doing themselves. So I think what should be their approach is that it shouldn't really change. It should be going into every at bat, whether the bullpen is the greatest of all time, and it's Mariano Rivera every single start, or if they go out and it's Adam Simber every single start. Obviously, you'd prefer the other one. It makes you feel maybe a little bit more mentally sound at the plate, and there isn't as much pressure. But like if you're Bichette, you're obviously frustrated, but you're not going to go around and completely talk crap about your bullpen.
Absolutely.
Your bullpen at times has been the best part of this baseball team. So you just got to hope that they can figure it out, and hopefully you can kind of pick up your offense a little bit and kind of help them out in this tough stretch here.
Funny enough, you brought up Mariano Rivera, a guy that's blown some huge games in his day. So, you know what? I was having a baseball conversation just with some buddies at work, and my friend brought that up. I totally get that. In big situations, your closer blows the game. I get it. We're getting to a point now, though, that I'm worried when a closer goes in. I'm not. You wouldn't be worried if Mariano Rivera went in. Or some, you know what I mean? It's just a very different conversation. So I bring that up only to bring up the conversation that it's a very different situation. It's the feeling in your gut you get when a guy gets up on the mound, right? It's probably how the Phillies fans feel right now with Jordan Romano. When he goes out there, they're probably shaking in their boots.
I mean, that's why they got Johan Duran, because they didn't want to deal with Jordan Romano anymore in the ninth inning.
Yeah, exactly. So every team gets to a point with a guy that they're terrified. And in a closer, you can't have that feeling because the players probably feel it too. But if you have a guy like Johan Duran, you go down the list of the great closers in the league, but you go down the list, probably a lot of those teams, Andres Munoz, goes in. You think they're worried about him being able to close the ball game? Probably not realistically. Jeff Hoffman goes into the game. People are worried. Brayden Little goes into the game. People are worried. Yariel Rodriguez. People are worried. Go down the list. Pick of the litter. This is, I don't know, dude. I'm just at the point now where we can't talk about this every day. You know what I mean? Like what else is going to happen here?
They're making us kind of talk about it every day because it kind of seems like this team's in trouble a little bit when you look at the bullpen. And it's not even as much as I think they could work around some of this bullpen stuff if they weren't at this point in their schedule. They already kind of got lucky and they played the Twins, the Pirates, the Marlins kind of in that stretch. Now you got a really tough schedule coming around. You got the Yankees, you got the Astros. If your bullpen performs like this, those teams are going to eat you alive. And that is a very quick way to lose ground in the American League, is to lose to American League teams that are right below you in the Yankees and the Astros. So people are starting to panic. There is some validity to that, but I'm not going to completely jump off the edge yet. we've lost one game to the Reds. I know it sucked and we should have won that game, but Hunter Green was pretty dominant. Like Bichette was really the only one that had a pulse in that entire game against Hunter Green. He's a very good pitcher. Again, you want to win those games, especially, when you're up in the ninth inning and you get 2 massive home runs in the top of a ninth inning. But it's like, you just got to hope that they're going to bounce back. You can't give up faith as much as, it is tough to, stay positive about this team right now. Like, every team goes through stretches like this, and you just got to hope that they can get out of this stretch quicker than losing too much ground in the American League. You don't want them to lose too much ground and find themselves, looking up in the division. And you want their bullpen to figure it out down the stretch, especially with a lot of tough series going on and the playoffs getting closer and closer every single day.
Well, and as much as we're complaining about the bullpen, we have to remember that Pagan on the Reds, is it Pagan? Is that how you say it?
Pagan.
Pagan. Yeah, I knew it was something weird. He blew it for them.
Yeah. And he's been pretty good this year, like the entirety of the season. Like that's the thing. Like your bullpen and your closers, they're going to blow baseball games. It's going to happen. It's going to suck every single time. Like, don't get me wrong. It's never fun watching your closing pitcher blow a baseball game. And that's what the people who are on Jeff Hoffman. It's not just Jeff Hoffman, Tommy Nance, Brendan Little, like all of these guys, if they go into those closing roles, it's a lot different going in and closing out a baseball game in the ninth inning when it's a very close game than going in, even if it is high leverage in the sixth inning, because even if you do give up some runs, your team still has the opportunity to answer. And I've said this before, the closing pitcher is the last thing you're going to remember, especially if they do blow that baseball game. It's the bottom of the ninth inning. They get walked off. That's the first thing that people are going to bring up if they are talking about this game, like for the right reason, for sure. Like that sucked. But again, like there's no point of keeping to dwell on it because there's nothing that they can do. Like you're not going to pull anyone up from AAA that's going to be your closing pitcher unless, some people are starting to bring up Trey Savage, which if he did get brought up to this team, like he's not going into the closing role. You're not having a rookie starting pitcher be bolstered into your closing role in a playoff stretch. So that's just kind of where we're at with the bullpen. You just got to hope that things get better. And unfortunately, our hands are kind of tied with that. And the only other argument that some people might draw on is the front office didn't do enough at the trade deadline. They should have went out and got another high leverage bullpen arm, maybe like a better bullpen arm. But you look at Ryan Helsley, you look at David Bednar, Camilo Duvall, like you look around the league with some of these guys, they've all had their blow up starts as well. So at this point, maybe they could have did more, but at this point, it's on the players. The players are going to have to perform. The front office can't really do anything else unless you're going to rely on Ryan Baraki. The players are going to have to perform, and the players are going to have to earn it.
Carter, we looked at their sample size, and that's probably what the front office did as well. Hey, look at the sample size of what this team's been able to do through more than half of the season. Be very, very good. Why would we add a bullpen closer in here and take that away from Jeff Hoffman, maybe wreck the room? That's probably where their heads are at. And I can't blame them for that. These guys decided to take a month off of playing baseball. Who is that on? How are you blaming the front office on that? I don't know. I think this is 100% on the players. Maybe management, if you want to bring up the fact that, tired arms, whatever. Okay, I could accept that. But if not that, it's the players. At some point, you're Major League Baseball players. Figure it out. Or at least some of you. I don't know. Anyway, we got a lot more to talk about yet. Obviously, we want to tee up game 2 a little bit more and just how important this game is now. And this is exactly, again, before when I look back, I said they were going to lose game 1 and then go on to win the next 2. But in the way that this game happened, now I'm pretty worried about my take. We'll come back after this and talk more about it.
Today's episode is also sponsored by Upside. Hey, Locked On Blue Jays fans, are you still paying full price for gas? Stop leaving money behind and get real cash back every time you fill up with the free Upside app. Simply download the free Upside app in the App Store or Google Play right now and start earning cash at the pump today. Use my limited promo code SEASON and get an extra 25 cents back per gallon on your first fill up. You can make up to $300 a day or $300, a year just from buying the gas you already need. $300 a day would be an absolute steal. I think everybody would already be on that if that was the deal they were offering. At first, I thought it was too good to be true, but it is totally legit. Real people are getting paid just to make their daily commutes, and you can too. Plus, you can cash out anytime to your bank account, PayPal, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Don't let this offer drive on by. Download the free Upside app now using my limited time promo code SEASON for a limited time 25-cent per gallon bonus. That's promo code season. Offers may vary based on user and location. Go to upside.com for the terms and condition.
So, Carter, just continuing on, obviously, still a game 2. This isn't all over. It's not like it's the end of days. There are still lots of ball to be played. Still a month. So how do you feel about game 2 now? Going in with what just happened yesterday, what does this team need to do now? Is it throw away the tape, don't look at it, try to put this game completely out of your mind, live in the moment, live in the day-to-day? That it's got to be, right?
Yeah, I guess one positive that you can look at is they didn't use a ton of bullpen arms. Like Chris Bassitt ate 6 innings and Yariel Rodriguez pitched for 2 of them. Brendan Little, you're probably not using. Tommy Nance, you're probably not using. But you have everyone else available. You have Jose Berrios that has looked a little bit better in, his last start before then was in a little bit of a bad stretch. So you got to hope that he can provide you a little bit of length as well. But you got a lot of guys available, like Louis Varland, Jeff Hoffman, Seranthony Dominguez, the guys that, again, you're going to have to rely on down the stretch will be available in this game. I mean, hopefully you just get a little bit more offense. Nick Lodolo is coming off the IL. I think he's made 1 start, so he should be pretty much fully stretched out, and it wasn't like a crazy long stint, but he has been very effective this year. So going to be interesting to see how they can attack the young pitcher. David Schneider should be in the lineup as well, so you're going to be pretty excited for that, obviously. But just looking for better bullpen performances, obviously. Like, just let's not give up a run or a million runs, a lead, I'll say, in the 9th inning. That's where we'll start. And then hopefully the offense, amidst a time where the bullpen is struggling, can, just score 9 runs. You don't really have to be worried about who in the bullpen is going to pitch for the Toronto Blue Jays ball club.
Yeah, not blowing a lead in the 9th inning might be just a ton to ask for at this point. Yeah, I don't know. I think this game is super important. I think you having them having the Yankees coming up, and then you drop back-to-back series, I think would be detrimental at this point of the year. I think they absolutely need to get these last 2. Otherwise, I don't know how that Yankees series is going to go.
Well, and there's you throw everything against the wall in that Yankee series because you have an off day Thursday. You can kind of do that with the Red series as well. You have an off day Thursday, you have an off day Monday. So you have all players ready to go. You have throw everything you possibly can at this Yankees team. It's like we said, one of the bigger series of the year. You play the Boston Red Sox farther along the line. Maybe that will be the newer biggest series of the year at that point, but you can only kind of focus on what's in front of you. Again, we're getting ahead of ourselves with that New York Yankees series. Let's focus on the Reds. Let's try to win a series against the Reds, get the momentum back, stop the panic and fear from going around Toronto Blue Jays land, because a lot of people are running around like chickens, with their heads cut off, because it's a little bit of a scary time. They haven't really given you a lot to be positive from, at least from the bullpen. So that's all we're asking for. I think that's the main thing. Is let's just not blow a lead in the 8th or the 9th inning. Let's take a lead into the 8th and 9th inning. I guess we got to start with that. But Brayden, is there anything else to add before we do take off for this episode? And hopefully are in a little bit of better spirits talking to you guys after hopefully a win from the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah, I'll throw this in here because it is sort of nice if you guys can all go do this. We have an important request. Locked On wants to hear from you. We put together a survey to learn more about our listeners and make our and your favorite podcast even better. This is your chance to tell us what you like, what you don't, answer questions about advertising. Go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey to get started. Everyone who completes the survey will be entered for a chance to win 1 of 10 $100 Amazon gift cards. Again, that's lockedonpodcast.com/survey. You can find the link in the show notes. We always appreciate you guys.
I got one more thing. I just remembered last thing. I talked about the fantasy updates yesterday, and there was 2 A's, the 2 guys with A names that are in our fantasy league. So I gave the shout out to the wrong guy. Made the playoffs. So Austin, congratulations to you. But it was Adam Demers who did get first place in the Locked On League, at least in the regular season, and I had second. I believe Jim Holler, I might have this mixed up, but you got a buy. And then also we have backdoor sliders. That is Justin Lord with the buy. And I was right. Brayden did not make the playoffs in either league. So hopefully the Toronto Blue Jays do not have the same fate as Brayden Nolasco's fantasy teams. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll talk to you guys again tomorrow.